Hey everyone, imagine you're working as an accountant in a company and you have a team that is entering data on a daily basis, and as soon as you open the Excel file, it goes through the invoice ID column and tells you and highlights the duplicate values. This is exactly what we are going to set up today, so let's get right into it. Alright, so we have some dummy data here. So we have some invoice ID, branch, customer information, unit price, total cost, etc. So let's go to VBA editor. So we do Alt F11. Keep in mind that I already have the file saved as an XLSM. If you want the macro to be saved in the same file, you will need to use XLSM format. Once you have the file selected, click on Insert Module, and here we will create a new module. The main focus of this video will be to how to set up this macro instead of how this macro works. So I'm just going to copy and paste the macro and continue to explain you a bit on what exactly it is doing. Right, so we have the name of the macro. You know, macro starts with sub duplicate values from selection. We have some variable declarations. We are setting our dictionary. Paste some more. Right, so we are setting the active sheet variable to sheet variable SHT. Then we are figuring out the last row. Here we are giving it information on what column to work on. So we want it to work on invoice ID column. We set up a range. So the range will be from 2 through the last row, which is saved in the last row variable. Then we create a loop that checks each value using a dictionary method. Let's paste it. If you want me to do a separate video on how this macro works, let me know in the comment section. And finally, it actually highlights the duplicate values. So it goes through each value in the range selected in my range and highlights the value with color index as 45. Great, so I have the macro right here. Let me test the macro by simply pressing run here. So if I press run or F5, you see that the value has been highlighted as duplicate. And just for testing purpose, let me change this to 1 and let me run this macro again. And you can see now it has removed the duplication. So each time the file will open, it will run and check if there are still duplicates, and it will highlight each duplicate value. If there is no duplicates anymore, it will remove all of the formatting. So the way we set up a macro to run with the Excel file is we go to this workbook, and if you press on general here, we'll select workbook. This opens up the workbook events. You can see it already selected workbook underscore open, but you can change this from here. So you can see there are a lot of options here. You have open, you have close somewhere above, before close, before print. So there are a lot of options before save. Most of the times I guess it is used on open or whenever your file is being closed or a specific range is being changed. So I'm just gonna keep this at open, and here I will simply type call. I should probably give this a good name here. So I'm gonna say check dupes score mod. It's generally a good idea to rename your module here as well, because if you have a long list of modules, it becomes very difficult to figure out what module represents. So having a name, you can easily find out what the macro does. And here we will use this name here. Keep in mind that the call method will use this name that you give with a sub method instead of what the module name is on the front. Alright, so time to check this. Let me change this back to 22. Let me save the file and let me open this again. And as soon as the file is opened, the macro should run, and you can see the macro ran and you have 2 duplicate values highlighted. Great. What now we can do is we can configure this macro to run at close as well. So that is pretty simple. I'm going to add another section here, and this time let's select before close. And you can see it automatically adds a new section here. Keep in mind that you cannot change this section here. So if I change this to make it a different name, the code will not run. Alright, so let's add call and same macro name here. And what this will do is it will run each time before the file is being closed. So as soon as I press Ctrl W, the macro ran. You could not really see it because the values are still same. So let me add a different value down here just to see, and this I'm just gonna change to 1, and I'm gonna press Ctrl S to save, Ctrl W, and as soon as I press Ctrl W, you'll see the macro ran. And now you can even press cancel and your macro still has ran. But most of the time, you will click on save and close the file. And that's it. This is how you set up a macros to run each time a file is being closed or opened. There are other workbook events as well, as you have seen, which you can modify as per your need. I hope this was a practical project for you and it will help you in your day-to-day work life. Till next time, happy coding and happy learning.